Introduction to neural networks. Neural networks is another paradigm of algorithms which are used to solve different types of complex problems. They are using a very specialized type of structure to solve a problem. These algorithms which are there in the category of neural network, or we call them artificial neural network, they are being inspired by the structures and the communication behavior of the natural nervous system of the living organisms. So we have a very faithful nervous system in our body, and the nervous system is composed of individual entities. They're called neurons. For example, we have our brain, and the brain is working for the processes of information. It's receiving signals, processing those signals, making decisions, and then producing an output. Now this whole process, the whole system is composed of different types of neurons, a very large number of neurons. So this our brain, for example, is consisting of a large number of neurons, and that's how we can say that it's representing a vast biological neural network. A neuron. What is basically a neuron? A neuron is just simply a specialized type of cell. It is in our body we have different types of cells. Each cell of the body is different from other type of cell in the body with respect to some properties, with respect to their functionalities, what functionality that specific type of cell is doing. So a neuron is a specialized type of cell which performs a specialized duty for information processing. Basically, it's receiving the stimulus and then show a response toward that stimulus. So स्टिमुलस को जो रिसीव करना है ब्रेन तक या स्पाइनल कॉर्ड तक जो प्रोसेसिंग है, और वो वापस उसका जो भी रिस्पांस है वो वापस लेके जाना उस टारगेट एरिया तक. दिस इज़ द responsibility of these neurons. So neurons are basically, they are just cells which receives a specific type of signal, and then they sum of those signals in a specific way. So they can receive signals from different sources. They can receive multiple signals at the same time. And depending upon their chemical and geometrical properties, they show the output of that signal which they are receiving. Basically, we are talking about our brain because brain is a very complicated type of organ in our body. There are a very large number of neurons in our brain. For example, according to an estimate, there are more than 100 billions of neurons are there in our brain. All the neurons are basically, they are connected to each other in a network, in a mesh manner, like a network. So there are more than trillions of connections in between them. So they are connected with each other in a network manner, and that's why they are communicating with each other. They are communicating with each other for the transmission of signals, for the acceptance of signals, and then for the transmission of signal, they are communicating with each other. So a biological neuron, what we are talking about, it is basically, it's composed of three basic components. It has a dendrite, it has a cell body. The cell body is also can be called as a soma, and it has an multiple axon. It has, so it has dendrites. It has multiple dendrites, a single axon, and a cell body. Now what are the functionalities of these different components in the neuron? The dendrites are basically, they are showing for the signal transmissions. The soma is the main component of the neuron, which is also called as the cell body. जब भी कोई इनपुट आता है सोमा के अंदर, सो मल्टीपल इनपुट्स आते हैं, बार बार इनपुट्स आते हैं, और ये सारे इनपुट्स को सम अप करता है. और जब ये सम अप करता है, और when it feels के now there are sufficient number of signals being accumulated in this cell body, then the cell fires. Cell fires मतलब ये कि it's transmitted signals to other cells in the system. वो signals की transmission करता है, और transmission जब करता है तो transmit a signal over its axon to other cells. This is a slide representing a generalized structure of an artificial neuron basically. जो हमने तीन components biological neuron के discuss किए. The artificial neuron is more or less having the same structure of the biological neuron. For example, these are the dendrites which are used for accepting multiple inputs from multiple sources. यहाँ पे multiple inputs आ सकते हैं, so there are different dendrites, multiple dendrites, and this part of the artificial neuron is representing the cell body, which is called as the soma in the biological system as well. और जितनी भी inputs आते हैं वो सारे inputs यहाँ पे sum up होते हैं, so all the inputs are being sum up over here, और उन सारों को sum up करके the soma accumulate them, sum up them, and it's producing a single output to the axon over here. और वो axon पर वो जो single output है वो multiple different dendrites को दे सकता है और multiple cells में distribute कर सकता है. Now similarly the structure of the biological neuron as well, which has more or less the same structure over here, the cell body, the axon here, and there are multiple dendrites like over there. So this has been inspired from this biological neuron and the same, more or less the same structure of the artificial neuron. And वो जो capability है, जो strategy वो use करता है biological neuron, the same strategy is also being used here by the artificial neuron in the artificial neural networks. Now, what are artificial neural networks basically? Artificial neural networks are basically, they are information processing systems being inspired from the biological nervous system, and they have their characteristics which are more or less similar with the biological neural networks or the biological networks. Several key features of these artificial neural networks being proposed on the basis of biological networks. वो कौन कौन से properties है जो artificial neural networks के लिए biological networks के base पे propose की गई है? There are a number of properties of the artificial neural networks. For example, number one property of this artificial neural network is that they are able for the processing of elements receiving many signals. Each element is able to receive many signals. It is able to receive signals from different sources. Signals may be modified by awaited at the receiving end. जो signal वो receive करता है, the cell body is able to modify that on the basis of the weights assigned to them. The processing elements, sum of all the weighted inputs, जो उसका soma है, जो cell body है, it is able to sum up all the inputs जो भी उसने receive किए उनको sum up करता है. Under appropriate circumstances, if appropriate circumstances है मतलब ये है कि if it feels that now enough information has been received, तो फिर वो information आगे next cells तक, next neurons तक वो transmit करता है, means cells fire होता है. The fifth property of which has been suggested on the basis of biological networks to the artificial neural network is that the output from a particular neuron may go to many other cells. This is the cell body is producing, though on the basis of multiple inputs, it is summing it up but producing a single input, but that single input can be distributed to many other cells in the network. Neural networks, they are composed of a very large number of components which are called as neurons. Sometimes they are called as units, sometimes we call them cells, or sometimes we can call them nodes. They consist of a large number of nodes or neurons which are connected to each other by means of directed communication links. Each is associated with a weight. Now the weight is very important over here because this is the weight which defines what type of information is being used by that system. जब वो weight उसका होगा और system उसको receive करेगा तो उस weight से वो perceive करेगा कि what type of information being used by that system.